Welcome, my friends, to Tastes from the Road, the show where I cook my favorite dishes from my travels around the world. Today, we're heading to the country of North Macedonia to take a look at their delicious baked beans dish called Tavče Gravče, a delightfully rhyming dish that I fell in love with during my time in the Balkans. So, let's get into it. Tavče Gravče in the Macedonian language means literally beans on the tava, a tava being an unglazed earthenware pot. So, the main star of this dish is, of course, beans. Any bean will do, but small white beans are the way to go. I soaked mine overnight in hot water to get them nice and tender for the dish I'm cooking today. Of course, this could be a veggie dish, but I opted to use some sujuk, or spicy Balkan sausage in mine. It's a common thing in this region. Next are our flavor enhancers, which include chicken bouillon, or vegeta, which is like a chicken bouillon powder, cumin, black pepper, spicy paprika, onions, and of course, garlic. Don't forget a nice fresh pepper for garnish, and white flour and oil, which we'll use to make our roux for our dish, a binder which makes the interior creamy and delightful. Now that we have our ingredients ready, let's bang out this dish. We start with chopping our onions into a nice dice. You'll probably need to split them into 2 different bowls, as they're used for different parts of the dish. Next, finely chop some fresh garlic. A couple cloves will do. Last up, we have to quickly chop our sausage into manageable pieces. If you can't find traditional sausage, you can always use a spicy Italian or Polish sausage as a replacement. You can also omit this if you're vegetarian, which is great news. Once you're chopped up and ready to go, we are ready to head over to the stovetop. We've got to start by adding our beans and enough water to just cover them into a pot and bring them to a boil. You're going to add your chicken bouillon powder or cubes at this stage too, as well as 1/3 of your chopped onions and a bit of that paprika for flavor. Put that pot on the back burner and make some space for your pan. To a medium hot pan, you're going to add a nice glug of good oil and the rest of the onions and cook until they are translucent, about 3 minutes. I remember trying this dish in the old Ottoman quarter of Skopje, the capital city of Northern Macedonia. You can find it everywhere, and it's almost always served in the same oval earthenware pot, a true fan favorite for the Balkans. Once you have properly sweated the onions, you can add in your garlic, followed by the sausage and the rest of your spices. You can toss this all together so the flavors get to know each other a little bit. While sauteing this, I assumed my sausage was going to be a bit more fatty, so I expected some oil to start building up in the pan for my roux, but in this case, that didn't happen. So add oil as you go so that your flour has something to bind to. Add a couple tablespoons of flour and toss everything in that. Cook in the pan until the raw flour smell dissipates and everything is looking a bit sticky, maybe like 2 minutes. Once we're nice and brown, like Alexander the Great after spending too much time in the Macedonian sun, we're going to incorporate all of our sauteed ingredients into our boiling bean mixture. You're going to want to mix everything in real nicely, and add a little water if too much is cooked off during the simmering process. You're going to let everything go in the pot until the beans are fully cooked, anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. The aroma in my house was taking me back to the traditional taverns where I first tried this. The clay pots actually sit up on a grill with the rest of the meat sizzling away, so everything in this traditional spot has this epic roasted beans and meat char smell about it. Truly authentic, truly amazing, truly Macedonian. Once our beans are ready to go, transfer it to an earthenware dish like this, or just any oven-safe dish. You're going to want to crank your oven up high and cook until the beans get a nice browning on the top, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. Once you're ready and satisfied with your browning, reach in the oven and be rewarded with something truly incredible. A bean dish elevated to new and tasty heights. I top mine up with a nice sprinkle of fresh green onion and chopped fresh bell pepper. The traditional way to go about it is to top the whole thing up with a couple dried red chili peppers and serve it up with pickled veggies and possibly a nice white cheese. Sitting at the heart of the Balkan Peninsula, you'll see Macedonian dishes pick up lots of influences from the neighboring countries around them, and this dish is no different. So, Tavče Gravče, an amazing name for a very nice dish. This dish reminds me a lot of my time living in Skopje, Northern Macedonia. That's the capital, and you could get this in the small cafes and kafanas. Honestly, I'm pretty stoked to try this, so how'd I do? It's very hot. The beans are really tender, and you get a nice kind of background kick from the spicy paprika that I used. And it's nice because you get that sort of roux that you make in the pan, so it kind of ties everything together with the onions. Absolutely delicious. And it's not always traditional, but I wanted to serve it today with some Macedonian style sausage called sujuk. And this is kind of like a smoked pork sausage, super tasty. really gives it a lot of flavor. They do it with meatballs sometimes, but I would say having eaten this a couple times in Northern Macedonia itself, that I definitely did the recipe justice, and it turned out exactly like you would find on the streets of Skopje.